Hi, welcome back to our channel. Welcome to the newcomers if you are new. Recently we posted a video about this flowing movement with a jaw, practicing the free movement with a jaw. Today we want to look at the Bokken and KATANA. There are also some small differences between Bokken and KATANA. So we will show you how to do it. We will give you some ideas about the practice and the few differences.
So, a free-flowing practice with a sword. Okay, and we're going to start with the Bokken. Going back to some principles that we've covered in some other videos. Again, you want to connect the weapon with your center, with your body, so that wherever you flow, the sword will also flow with you. Okay. Now we're going to be a little bit more loose, so to speak, a little bit less technical in the sense of how we're going to specifically hold the sword in the Bokken. We're going to allow that to be relaxed as well. But in general, we'll still start off with the kind of a traditional grab on the sword with the right hand on top, the left hand on bottom. And again, you can just get a sense of being able to cut in any direction that you want and being able to flow into those directions in a nice way without stopping or having to restart, so that when you change directions, it automatically flows into that. And you can just allow the sword to follow the body into those cuts. And don't worry exactly really about what it looks like, but you can just practice this. You notice I'm going slow in the beginning just to get a feel for it, so I can allow my body to be stable. Okay? And we can start to change what the movements look like. They don't always have to be cuts. Okay, but now, as it flows with me, they may start to whip a little bit. There might be a sort of a piercing, a thrust action. They may go up and down. So you can start to explore the different levels as well. And that's going to take, it's going to demand a little bit that your body goes to those levels as well. Up and down, around. Okay. Now as you start to get a feel for that, the body's obviously moving a little bit more freely as well, turning, moving in different directions. You want to get a sense that your hands are a little bit more free with the Bokken. Okay, so that in a sense I can start to move the hands into different places, and I can even allow the Bokken to connect into different parts of my body. And it can move in different ways. Okay, so the body really has to take part in this. It's really participating. It's not just about moving the sword around, but the sword starts to dance, so to speak, move around with the body. Right. Next, we're going to take a look at the katana. Okay, so a little bit more of a metal blade, whether it's sharp or not. If it's sharp, you actually really want to be careful. This one happens to not be sharp, but you can still do the same practice with a sharp one. Just be very careful as you do that, not to cut yourself. Now, the really important thing about with the katana metal is that you do have really a blade side. So the way you connect with, especially in touching the blade, you really want to be cautious and careful of the sharp side. Okay? So again, you can still start with the same type of practice, noticing where the blade, which side the blade faces. So really being conscious of how the blade faces as you're moving. And that's going to really come into play as you start to use a metal sword, a sharp sword in that sense. And so even just the slightest turn will make a difference in how the sword flows, whether it turns to go in another direction, turns to come back. So really, even just the way the sword is facing will have a really big impact on where the sword is going to move to. Okay, now if I start to connect with the blade side of the sword, again, I want to connect in such a way that I don't touch or cut myself with the blade. So, but I can reinforce the blade with the hand, okay, and connecting in that way. Okay, even with a thrust. Okay, again, I can be very playful in the sense with the sword, moving it even behind me, as long as I get a sense of where the blade is. Okay, so you want to be able to flow in that way. And so see if you can do that without stopping the movement and just getting a sense of continuing without having to think too much about what you're doing. Okay? But that it's all connected and together.